So there's been a nationwide and worldwide furor over Trump's Muslim ban. And essentially, what Trump has done is he has banned any people coming out of 7 different countries. He banned, people coming out of 7 different countries, majority Muslim countries, which are Syria, Iraq, Iran, Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, and Libya. So there is a travel ban, so nobody can go back and forth to Syria, Iraq, Iran, Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, and Libya. The problem with this is that the 9/11 terrorists that actually came from Saudi Arabia. 15 of the 19 hijackers came from Saudi Arabia. You had Lebanon, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates, too. Those are the 4 countries that had provided the citizens for the 9/11 attacks. But even though those are the 4 countries that had provided the citizens for the 9/11 attacks, none of these 7 countries that the Muslim majority countries that Trump has banned include any of those 4 countries. So Lebanon, Egypt, United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia provided the citizens to to kill 3,000 people on 9/11, and so Trump believes that banning everybody from Syria, Iraq, Iran, Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, and Libya is the best way to handle that. So on the surface, it's pretty bad. There's a cultural divide that this is going to start. This is while there's a lot of people that are rightfully frustrated with it, there's also a lot of people that actually like it. In fact, the majority of Americans are in favor of the Muslim ban. And so let's talk about what happened 3 days ago. So on January 30th, you had a white anti-feminist, anti-multiculturalist Trumpist. So this man supported Trump by the name of Alexandre Bissonnette, a 27-year-old student from Laval University in Quebec City, Canada, just went up and killed 6 Muslims at a local mosque. Just went up and lone gunman, pop, 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 shot him. And before then, he was unknown to the police, so he hadn't been in trouble before. He had been radicalized in the last year. He targeted the Islamic Cultural Center, which was the mosque. He's been charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder. He is a white nationalist, neo-Nazi who hates multiculturalism, feminism. He loves Marine Le Pen, who is a female French rightist party, and he's a Trumpist. He loves Trump. He's inspired by Trump. Trump comes up with the ban, Muslim ban. This guy goes out and kills 6 Muslims. And, the White House said that they condemned it, but then they said that this is the reason why we must stay vigilant against terrorism. Well, wait a second. They actually are talking about not considering white supremacists to be terrorists right now. So they're sitting there saying we need to be vigilant against extremism. That's exactly what Trump is doing, only on a much larger scale. White nationalists going after Muslims. And so this is the culture that we're in now. This is the culture. This is what Trump is inspiring people like Alexandre Bissonnette, 27-year-old Alexandre Bissonnette, just cold-blooded, kind of like that Dylan Roof, right? Just goes into a church and starts killing people. And that's how brave this Alexandre Bissonnette was. Goes into this mosque. He's a French-Canadian student. And he goes into this mosque and just starts killing people. And 50 people at the mosque there were 50 people total at the mosque. 19 were injured. In addition to the 6 who were killed, out of the 19 injured, 2 are in critical condition, and they're all men. So he targeted all men, just like Obama when he said that in a combat zone, if there is men who are of military age, they are going to be targeted too. Didn't matter if you were actually a part of the military or not. You're a man, you got, swinging dick, pow pow, you die. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Fuck you. Who gives a shit about your life? Now, eventually, this Alexandre Bissonnette is arrested in his car in Des Orleans, where he called 911 saying that he wanted to cooperate with the police, right? These right-wing neo-fascists, they're like, oh, they trust the fascist system, of course. So he quietly turns himself in. There was another suspect, but he was released. Essentially, it's just this one guy, lone gunman. 27-year-old student Alexandre Bissonnette from Laval University. There is one guy here, Michael Kigma Lord. He grew up with Bissonnette in the tranquil Quebec City neighborhood of Cap Rouge. And he said, we're good friends. He's a really good guy. His parents are great. This is not a good guy. And since his parents created him, I don't think they're great either. Nor do I. I don't know. This guy's judgment seems to be off. And he was saying that Bissonnette, Alexandre Bissonnette, has a twin brother, Matthew, who was bullied at school for being a nerd with unpopular taste. Together, they would go looking for quartz rocks at recess. Bissonnette also played chess, right? So there's some things we get to know about this guy. Who are the 6 victims? What are their names? What were their personalities? What were they like? People were mean to him, called him weirdo. Your popularity is important as a child. And he says that he developed the thick skin because of the bullying. The 2 lost touch. Then they met again at the Laval University. And he said there was no sign of anything wrong. He seemed comfortable in his skin. He was still in the chess club. Now, he's like, now we're all asking about the motives. And so another guy, Eric Debrois, he suggested that Alexandre Bissonnette had become radicalized in that last year. He, loved Trump. He loved the French Front National leader, Marine Le Pen. And they were sitting there talking. They're having dinner with this Debrois guy. And Debrois and this Alexandre Bissonnette were at this dinner. And he was like, hey, let's talk about Marie Le Pen, this French rightist, a female French rightist who is, right-wing, fascist, hates multiculturalism and feminism. I heard Ann Coulter said that women should not have a right to vote. Okay. Ugh. And then 55% of American women voted for Trump. So I don't understand it at all. But when the topic of this lady, Marine Le Pen, came up at the dinner, then Debrois says, no, we're not talking about it. I'm allergic to her. People say I'm paranoid. I'm not. I'm allergic. So I said, no, we're not talking about that. And then Alexandre Bissonnette was struck. He was thunderstruck. And he just stayed silent the rest of the evening. The 2 stayed Facebook friends, but one day near the end of November, Bissonnette sent him a link about the death of Cuban leader Fidel Castro after Debrois had posted that he didn't mourn dictators left or right. Bissonnette was unhappy. The media spoke highly of Fidel Castro, a dictator, while everybody speaks badly about Donald Trump, who's democratically elected, and that really aggravated him. But Debrois didn't think that about Bissonnette again until his name resurfaced as one of the possible suspects for the mosque massacre. He was a smart kid, good at school. He loved firearms, didn't have many friends, and he was bullied at school. And Fissette, he believes Bissonnette was radicalized on the internet. So they're saying that he had a happy childhood, but he just, looked online and found all this racist crap. Refugee advocates and community organizers have said he regularly trolled them with anti-immigrant and anti-feminist statements. 3,000 Americans were killed by citizens from Saudi Arabia. United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and Lebanon. So this is Trump, okay? So Trump said during a campaign rally in Alabama last year, he expressed admiration for Saudi Arabia, this exporter of Wahhabism. He says they buy apartments from me. They spend $40-50 million, and I'm supposed to dislike them? I don't dislike them. I love them very much. So he loves Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has been a American ally for quite some time, in spite of all the beheadings, in spite of all the terrorists that they've created, in spite of creating most of the 9/11 hijackers. We're still going to, in creating bin Laden and, giving him his wealth. In spite of all these things, we're still going to go ahead and be allies with Saudi Arabia. In fact, we're going to help Saudi Arabia fight this proxy war in Yemen, where 80% of the people are desperately starving. It's the poorest country in the region, and 1/3 of all the bombings are aimed at civilian targets: schools, marketplaces, hospitals. So he loves Saudi Arabia. Loves Saudi Arabia. 2011 to 2015, Saudi Arabia has been the top destination for U.S. arms exports. So out of all the nations in the world, for 4 or 5 years, they've been number 1 for buying all of our weapons. So arms manufacturers are making a ton of money from Saudi Arabia. Essentially, that's what Trump is saying. Yeah, Saudi Arabia is a crappy country. They're crappy people. They're evil. But they got a bunch of money. So let's go ahead and just kiss their butt, right? Because who cares about good and evil, right? It's only a matter about the money. Money is all that you should really care about. Trump has also a personal financial link to Saudi Arabia. The Trump organization registered 8 companies in Saudi Arabia in 2015. So he's got businesses in Saudi Arabia. He's not going to bomb Saudi Arabia. He's not going to go after Saudi Arabia, even though they created the 9/11 terrorists. He's not going to go after Lebanon, Egypt, or the United Arab Emirates. He's going to go after 7 countries that had nothing to do with 9/11. Take each one as you will, but Syria, we created that mess. The refugees are running, but we're the one that created that mess, and now they have nowhere to go. Just like in Honduras, what Hillary Clinton did, then Iraq, right? We've devastated that place 2003, and here's 14 years later. Are the Iraqi people better? Iran, nobody from Iran can come and go to America. Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, and Libya. So those are the 7 majority Muslim nations that Trump has banned everybody from going to. So because of this ban, because of this anti-Muslim rhetoric, it makes me think of Adolf Hitler. If you saw The Rise of Evil, Adolf Hitler was like, never compromise on the Jew. You hate the Jew. The Jews are horrible. And now Donald Trump is doing the exact same thing for the Muslims. Don't compromise on the Muslims. That's a convenient scapegoat. So for these white nationalists, these neo-Nazis, anti-multiculturalism, anti-feminist people such as this Alexandre Bissonnette, they look at Trump, they are inspired by his racism, and they're standing up and they're being counted. Just like Catfish Cooley, right? Catfish Cooley said it was the happiest day of his life when he saw that his rich, wealthy politician, racist politician got into office. And so this is the cultural divide. This is where we're at in America right now. I am happy that a lot of people throughout the country are protesting in airports. And so we're actually, collectively, right, there are people that are resisting, and we need to resist. If Hitler was elected, would you just say, he's the president, who cares, let's just do what he says? And, yeah, he went ahead and killed the TPP, but 80 to 90% of everything that he is doing is horrible. It is absolutely horrible. And so it begins. So it begins. This is the new world that Donald Trump is creating, where people like Alexandre Bissonnette feel inspired to go in and kill innocent men, Muslim men. They didn't do anything. They didn't attack anybody. They were just Muslim men at their mosque, right, their church, their place of worship, and they were killed. Just like Dylan Roof goes into a church and kills black people, now you got this Alexandre Bissonnette going into mosque, killing 6 Muslims, injuring 19 of them, and 2 of them are in critical condition. So there could be 2 more people, 2 more men who are killed. So it begins.